4, 3, 2, 1. Okay,
Yes.
cool. Hi, Josh. Thank you ever so much for coming to talk to me today. Now, tell me first of all about the GSD version 1. So that was 2017, because this is an epoch-changing bicycle. This was a bicycle that changed the parameters of what an electric cargo bike looked like and could do. So go back in history and tell me about 2017, when you first came up with this thing.
Well, it was really it was an evolution, right? So the GSD in its final form was not where we started. When we started, it was actually quite a bit shorter. It wasn't really cargo focused as much, but just as we started to develop it and prototype it and really spend time thinking about it, we were just thinking that, well, if you're really going to develop an electric bicycle and it's going to be optimized for carrying a passenger or two and more weight, you really have to design it differently than a regular muscle-powered bicycle, right? A muscle-powered bicycle is, you optimize for low rolling resistance with large wheels, right? And so you compromise with cargo space and center of gravity. But with electric, you don't need to make that same compromise. You can compromise a little bit differently because you have that extra boost. So you don't need the large wheels, but then you get the lower center of gravity and more room for cargo. And it also has to do with, just even your riding position, right? Your riding position on a muscle-powered bike is a bit more forward. It's down, and that's less air resistance. Again, when you have an electric bike, you don't have to make that same compromise, and you can sit more upright, be a bit more comfortable, be more visible in traffic, right? And you can see over the tops of cars. That's something that's nice. And so really that's the GST was really our kind of evolution in thinking about, okay, if we're going to design an urban bicycle that can help people drive a little bit less, how should we design that and how could we do it? And so it kind of evolved a few times, and we ended up, with the GSD.
So forgive me for saying this. I'm sure you know this, but maybe it's nice for somebody else to tell you this, it's iconic. So it's an iconic bicycle. I can spot it from a long, long way away. I know exactly what it is. And I have seen it all over the world. So when I've been in America, I've seen a GSD on the bike paths. In the UK, I've seen GSDs dotting about. So it's an iconic bicycle. So you've sold a fair few of these around the world.
Sure. Yep. We're pretty happy with the sales. But yeah, it was a leap for us, right? It was our first non-folding bicycle. We had quite a few debates, strenuous debates on the team. Do we go out with this small-wheeled, non-folding, relatively heavy bicycle? And I remember thinking, man, this is a bit risky. It could bomb. It really could bomb. And we're lucky, we're fortunate that, in fact, our largest distribution partner, when we told them about the product and we showed them renderings, they said, don't do it. We don't need that. And that's a bit hard when, right, your largest customer by far says, don't do it. We don't need it. Fortunately, we'd been writing prototypes quite a bit by that time where we were confident enough to think they don't know what they're talking about. They'll come around. And fortunately they did, but yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Now, I would describe it not only iconic, but as a car killer, in that you can do things on this. I mean, all cargo bikes are car killers, but this one in particular, because you can do it's modular, it's got lots of things on it. So I know we're going to be talking about the GSD version 2. You've got a brand new one out, but let's stick to 2017's model first of all. So what did you have? What kind of modular things did you have to make this into a car killer? So you could all these different things you could put on it and take off. And what did you have then? And we can talk about the new stuff in a minute.
Well, I would start by saying it's not intended to be a car killer. We also drive cars, and for longer distances, cars make perfect sense. But for short trips, right, less than 5 miles, driving a car is a bit silly, and it's crazy that in all of these cities around the world, you have massive congestion, and a huge percentage of those trips are all less than 5 miles. So the idea is, can we make a bicycle that's convenient? Where, I remember I would used to go out on rides, and I'd spend 20 minutes running around the house. I'd have to look for my lights, my helmet, my lock, the kids' lights. Then I'd have to see if they're charged, and it was just this huge pain. And when you go out to drive your car, all you need is your keys, right? That's it. You get your keys, and everything that you need is there on the car. And so I think with the GSD, the thinking is the same thing, right? You have a trip to the market, a trip to the library, a school drop off. Can you just grab your bike keys and hop on the bike, and everything that you need is there? And so that includes safety things, right? So we have a clubhouse that wraps around the children to keep them safe and centered on the bike. The lights are there, the lock is there, so everything that you need. And so that's what we're always thinking about is, how can we make that bicycle more convenient and an easier choice? And largely we are the customers. So it's really, the GSD has its specific form factor because we want to use it, right? So we live in a building where we're on the 8th floor and we have an elevator. So a cargo bike that doesn't fit in that elevator just simply doesn't fit in our lives. And I think the thing is that's true for a lot of people living in cities. And another example is when we showed the vertical parking feature of the GSD, we thought it was brilliant because all of us on the Taipei team live in apartments with elevators. But when we showed it to our German friends, our partners, their product team didn't get it at first because they all have large garages and houses. And I think the funniest thing is that actually, so they came back and they said, yeah, we don't get this vertical thing. What are you guys thinking with this? It doesn't make sense. But the owner of the company, he got it. And so the great thing was seeing the owner of the company, 70-year-old gentleman at Eurobike, and he's like flipping the bike up and showing dealers. And so all the product guys are looking at the owner going, oh, he gets it. He understands it. And so that was quite a lot of fun. But I think it really shows.
You put it up on its end. Sorry, Josh, you put it up on its end and it just stands there.
Yes. So it takes up the floor space of a potted plant. You could stick it in the corner of your living room. Yep. Yeah.
So that's 2017, and it's a fantastic product. It's been fantastic for you. It's been fantastic for Tern's brand awareness because lots of companies have got this bike, lots of families have got this bike, and I know you don't want to call it a car killer, but I'm sure lots of people have got rid of their second car and got this particular bicycle. And GSD, let's remind people or tell people for the first time who don't know this, it stands for Get Stuff Done. So it's like a practical bicycle. That's not a car killer, even though it is a car killer. It's Get Stuff Done, yeah?
That's the PG version. Yes.
Okay. Stuff. Okay. I see where you're going there. We'll leave we'll leave that. So 2017, we now spring forward to 2020. Would you call it Mark II? How do you describe this? The new GSD?
Well, it's generation 2. It's we call it just the new GSD. Yeah, so we basically, of course, as in any product development project, you have to freeze things so that your supply chain can get to work on them. So we had to freeze things, well in advance, and so there have been so many things where we've seen that could be improved, or ooh, that could be improved, and you have to wait. And in addition, right, our dealers, our distribution partners, our customers have made literally hundreds of recommendations to us. Could you add this? Could you add this? Could you add this? Could you do that? Could this be lighter, faster, more convenient? And so that's what we've had, 2 years to work on, and so we are really excited for version 2.
Josh, why don't we now do an unveil? Like, let's have a look at you touching and feeling the new GSD.
Okay.
And then you can tell me the things. I mean, I've got a list here because you sent me a press release. You walk me through it. I mean, you can start with. I mean, the first thing on my press release is a stronger, stiffer frame. So start with that.
So here it is. Here's the bike, kitted out. Here's the frame. We made it substantially stronger. That's when you are carrying a maximum load, it just rides a lot more stably when the frame is stiff. There are.
Sorry, is it heavier? Is it stronger and stiffer and a little bit heavier, or
the bicycle is heavier? Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing with physics is if you want to make it stronger and stiffer, you add more material. So the bike is a bit stiffer or is a bit heavier, but it's just so we've actually sent the frames off to EFBE in Germany for stiffness testing. We've just gotten the numbers back. In vertical stiffness, we are 40% stiffer. So in the words of the EFBE tech who was doing the testing, and version 1 was already the stiffest frame vertically that they had ever tested.
It doesn't matter because it's electric. Yeah, it doesn't matter that it's slightly heavier. Well, because you've got that boost.
Yep. I mean, yes, absolutely. But the stiffness matters a whole lot because when you have wiggling kids on the back or you have cargo and you're maneuvering through traffic, if you get a little bit of a wiggle, it makes you feel uncomfortable. And that's so important with cargo bikes because there are cargo bikes where the frames aren't quite as stiff, and you definitely feel that. And when you feel unstable or unsafe, you go, okay, I'm not gonna do that route or that ride anymore. And torsionally, we are 15% stiffer. And so EFBE said we are on par with kind of the heavy duty, sporty kind of downhill bikes that they've tested. So we are very happy with, and of course this is a longer frame. So having that torsional stiffness with a substantially longer frame is quite good. But 15% stiffer than GSD version 1 and 40% stiffer vertically than version 1.
And just because you're now crouching down there, what's that wheel size?
So that's a 20-inch wheel.
That's the same, GSD 1, GSD 2, 20 inch is your platform?
Yes. Well, you can see just from the side view, also there's, everything from the motor is updated as well. So we've opted for the top of the line Bosch cargo line motor, 85 Newton meters of torque. It has 400% assistance. It's the best kind of cargo e-motor that that's on the market today. Towards the front, you can see we used to have a rigid fork. So some people had mentioned that, hey, with smaller wheels, even though you have large diameter balloon tires on bad roads, like Berlin, lots of cobblestones, that was an issue. So we decided to add a suspension fork for comfort, a little bit more control over bad roads.
And that suspension fork is across all of the model, because you can go through what models you've got coming up, but that's on all the models is the front suspension fork, but the rear one is only on some models.
The suspension, correct. The suspension fork is on all models. Yes. Yep.
Okay. And this is going to sound like a daft question here, but so what colors have you got? Let's just say, so we've got a very nice yellow there, but what other color options have you got?
Well, for the we've got matte black, as everybody has. We have the original Beetle Blue, that very bright kind of old VW color, which we like a lot. We have a color called Tabasco, so we like Tabasco sauce. So it's this kind of orangey red color. We have a couple of different shades of gray, so a lighter gray, a darker gray. We have a sage color, and we have dragon fruit, which is a bit of a polarizing color. So dragon fruit is kind of this purplish red. It's very vibrant. I think you either love it or you hate it. Different people here on the team are in different camps.
That's actually quite a lot of colorways. I thought you were going to say, well, yellow, red, and black, but that's a fair few.
Yep. Well,
okay.
we were finding that, in some cities there are so many GSDs running about that people are actually saying, I don't want to have the same color as everybody else. You guys need more colors. So
okay.
So that's what we've done.
Okay. So which particular model is this? So you've got, is it 3 models you've got? Which one is this?
This is the entry level. This is the S10. So this has a 10-speed Diori derailleur drivetrain. We also have the S00, which has the Unveil hub with infinitely variable gears and a belt drive. And our favorite, which is the R14. The R14 is with a roll-off hub and a belt. And it's basically, we just put everything on that bike.
The Rolls Royce, that's kind of like the bee's knees. That's the ultimate with a roll off. Wow.
Yeah.
So before we go, I could have done this at the end, but let's sorry for making you crouch there, Josh. Oh. But it's a compact. You can almost get the whole thing in the video screen here. That's great. So tell me the prices. No, we could have done this at the end, but as you're down there now, and we're going through the various models. So start with the roll off. Let's go from top to bottom, because roll off that's going to be pricey. So how pricey is it, Josh?
The roll off. Well, I'll give you the US dollar pricing. It'll be slightly different in Europe and the UK. Roll off is, if I recall, $88,200. So
that's not that much different from the Euro price. It's roughly the same. I've got the list here.
That should one be very in close.
Euro, 8,300 in effect.
Yeah,
8,299 euros. Yep. So we're frightening people right now. That's the top of the range. So if you want the absolute best GSD, that's the one. Roll off hub, £8,500. This is why it's a car killer. These are pricey things, Josh. Yes. You'd have to get rid of a car to afford the bike.
Well, this is not only just the roll off, it's the E14 electronic shifting. So when you come to a stop, you hear it go and it downshifts for you, so you have the perfect gear to start off. It also comes with a double battery. It comes with our super premium lighting system. So it's really everything. It's more than just this roll off hub.
Okay, put me down for 3. 3 of those.
Okay, no problem.
That's fantastic. Okay, so that's the bee's knees. That's the ultimate. Right, let's step down. Let's go to let's forget the middle. Let's go straight to the I don't want to call it bottom of the range, because that's crazy. Let's talk about the one you've got there, the yellow one, the E10. So how much is that going to cost people?
The S10 is
S10,
4,500. That'll be 4,500
okay.
euros. I think it might be $4,600, and it should be right about there in pounds as well.
And how much is it? What price differences is that compared to the models that are already out there in shops?
Basically, they are a $500 step up from the version 1. So, we've basically upgraded frame, we've upgraded fork, we've upgraded the motor, we've added on a lot of standard, like the lock is now standard, the lower decks are standard, the wheel guard is standard. So a lot of standard things, and it jumps up by $500.
Okay. Now, what I did notice there when you were crouching down was the kickstand. So you have an all new kickstand. It says it's patented. So what's that kickstand going to do for me?
Well, the kickstand is incredibly strong, incredibly stable. The beautiful thing about it is that it locks into place. So when you lower it, it locks automatically. And so when you are loading it up with cargo, or you put your kids on it and they're wiggling around, or even if you have it parked in your garage next to your nice car and somebody bumps into it, it's safe. Right? It'll stay stable. It's safe. It won't tip over. The other thing that's really nice about it is that it has a remote unlock. So you load up the bike, and then you step over the bike, press the remote unlock, and roll forward, and you're off. And so that's a very different usage than, like putting your kids on, holding it. Hey, you climb on using one hand to get them on, and then you have to swing your leg over while you're holding your bike. So it really dramatically, I think, Carlton, you've used the original, right? And you know that the original, you couldn't load 40, 50 kilos of things on the back, step over the bike, and then roll forward. You had to get it off the kickstand with a bit of effort, and then you had to swing your leg over while the bike is fully loaded. So I think if you...
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a weak point, because that's everybody, every kickstand kind of does that, no matter how beefy they are. Yeah. But to have the remote one and to lock in, that sounds like an amazing upgrade.
Yeah.
Especially if it's slightly bigger and heavier, and if you've got kids on the back, and that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
That particular. So is that proprietary?
Yes. Well, so version one of the bike, right? The kickstand that we spec'd was an off-the-shelf version. It was not as let's say robust or easy to use as people would have liked, and so it was one of the weaknesses of the bikes. We had some complaints regarding it, and so that's something that we've been thinking about for 2 years, and we've had 2 years to design something special, and so we feel like we've hit a home run with this kickstand. So we're excited to let people see it, because there's nothing out there on the market like this.
If somebody's got a GSD now, can they retrofit? Could they say, "Can I get one of them on my existing one?" Or is that got to be on this one?
It has to be on this one. We did make a retrofittable Atlas kickstand, as you know, but this version, the connection points are quite different. So
yeah. I kind of
yeah.
figured that, but I thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's called the Atlas lock stand. I can see here.
Yes.
So that's pretty special.
Yes.
And then frame geometry. Have you changed how the frame rides, looks, measures? What's the differences between the GSD one and this one?
Well, we tweaked the geometry. So version 1, I think people generally like the geometry a lot, but I would say that it wasn't really optimal for people 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". So really tall riders.
Right. I'm out here. That's not. I like the small one. I can fit this. But anyway, sorry, 6'3". Okay.
Yeah. So the really tall riders would find our handlebars a little bit low and the cockpit a little bit cramped. So that describes quite a lot of riders. And so again, we've tweaked the geometry, and we've slackened the seat post. We've raised the handlebars. So the handlebars are 6 centimeters higher than before. And the slacker seat post, when you pull it up, it's a lot. Yep, it's a lot. And with the slacker post, as you go up, the cockpit lengthens more quickly. And if you're shorter, then that cockpit shrinks. And so it's really a better geometry for very tall riders, or if you're on the shorter side. Yeah. So
which is me, which is definitely me.
We're in the average. We're average.
And then the accessories you have, are they a different? Is there different modular, click-in points? Is it a completely brand new platform? Is what I'm trying to say. Even the accessories you've got are going to be different, or can accessories in the first one fit on this one, or vice versa? What's the thing that's going on there?
Yeah, the accessories are, I would say, largely compatible. Not all, but largely. So in the front, all of the front accessories that we had before will work on Gen 2. In the rear, many of the accessories will be compatible. I think what we had in the front and the rear, we were pretty happy with, but we tweaked some small things and optimized a little bit. The key is that we also have developed a number of new accessories as well. So we have announced three new accessories. We have a Clubhouse Plus, which works better with child seats. So you can have any combination of large child, small child, or child seat, or a double child seat. We also have a lower deck, and we have the new cargo hold panniers you can see here. So it's so
that they expand out, and how much can they fit in?
Well, these hold 52 liters. The thing that we love is the fidlock buckle. So.
Oh, what's going on there? They're magnets?
Yeah, they're magnets. They're fidlock. They're very. It's a German design.
Oh, fidlock. Oh, okay. I've got the water bottles. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so right. Oh, yeah, fidlock. Yeah.
Just easy to use. Every time you use it, you think, "Wow, that's so cool." So the capacity of those panniers is 52 liters per side, right? So that's 104 liters.
Wow.
That's a lot of shopping that you can do. Or your kids can put their feet inside, and there's still room for their bags, or a grocery run.
And how many kids can you get in there then comfortably?
Comfortably 2.
Not in those bags. Sorry, in the clubhouse. How many kids you can get in the clubhouse?
2 kids.
2.
Or an adult.
But then there's also a captain's chair as well. What's that?
The captain's chair is for bigger kids. So if you're over 10 years old, or 100 and I don't remember the exact, something like 135 centimeters. So for an adult, every now and then, I've ridden my mom to work. So when I need to do some product testing, I enlist mom. I say, hey, can you hop on the back? I want to see how comfortable it is. And so the captain's chair is really, it's essentially a backrest and side supports for an adult. So that you're a passenger, you just lean back, recline, you can read a book. My wife and I ride our son to soccer practice every weekend, and my son is in the back reading his Kindle and eating his breakfast, and he's very happy. And a couple of weeks ago, I asked, I said, hey, do you prefer to get to, all of his friends, they arrive by car, right? And we're the only strange parents that are arriving by bike. And so I was curious, and I said, what do you prefer? Is it bike or car? And I was so happy. He said, bike, Dad. I like bike.
And how old is he, Josh?
Well, he's 14, right? So
14. That's amazing that he's still saying 14.
Yes.
Because I had teen children, and I used to take them on the back of my cargo bike. And I would say, 14, 15 is when they're starting to go, I don't want to be seen on the back of my dad's cargo bike. Just don't.
Right? Yeah. So
definitely.
I was thinking the same thing. And so that's why I wanted to just double check. And he was like, bike, Dad. So made me very proud.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, it looks fantastic. We've gone through the prices, and people who are going to want these kind of things they're going to want these things. They're going to ignore those prices and they're just going to go for it because, as I said, it's an iconic, epoch-changing a bicycle. Now, for people who don't know Tern, let's go through a potted history of where Terns come from. How did Tern get into becoming the maker of an iconic bicycle, and also how big a market share in your company is the GSD? Is it like a flagship product, and you don't actually sell that many of them, in the whole, product range you've got, or is it something that's actually quite important from a a volume sales point of view?
Yeah.
So history of the company, and then zero back in on that product.
Well, we started we launched, I think it was, I hope I'm correct, June 16th, 2011. So we are a bit over 9 years old. I would say that it was really kind of a team of very passionate bicycle people. And all of us we believe in bicycles as a form of transportation. I think that's the best way to explain it is we do have road riders or mountain cyclists, mountain bikers as well. But I think it's this idea that bicycles should be the way to get around for short distances in cities, and that's that unifying vision, which I think is so important to a new young company. So, all of us could have gotten higher paying jobs someplace else. But we believe in this vision. And so I think that has united us for 9 years. And it's honestly been it's been a tough road. It was a tough road launching, soon after the economic crash. And we started with folding bicycles. That's what we knew. That's what we were good at. That's what we're still good at. But at that time, folding bikes weren't doing as well, and so it was tough. But I think that vision that we all believe in, that's the thing that kept us together. Right? If we're all just, hey, we're just here to make a fast buck, flip it, and then exit, the company would have been finished a long time ago. So I think that's something that it makes me quite proud that we have so many people that we've been here from the start, from day one, 9 years ago. So that's kind of the that's where we started. Today, the e-bikes are a very important part of our product line. We see, if we think about urban cycling, we think about folding as being an important pillar of that. We think about cargo as being an important pillar. We think about electric, and then just kind of lifestyle bikes that look good and you feel good riding. So we look at those as kind of our 4 pillars for urban cycling. But the GSD is definitely a flagship product for us. I think it's raised our profile a bit. So yeah, we're thankful to have it.
And where does it fit into the ecosystem in terms of its flagship, in that you're selling a few, but it's a really famous, iconic bike, or is it really integral to your company? You're selling a stuff load of these.
Well, we're selling. I mean, I think we're a small company. We're still small compared to the big boys. But yeah, it's definitely an important important part of our product line.
Mm-hmm. And then one thing I haven't asked, and that's quite important, is when can people get a hold of these things? So somebody's watching this and going, or listening to this and going, oh God, I've got to have one of them. Here's my money. Take it now. When can they physically get their mitts on this bike?
The very end of the year or early, let's say January 2021. So
I've got people so excited about this bike, and now you're telling them you can't have it next week.
it's actually it's a bit of a challenge to try and do marketing without news getting out. You have so many stakeholders, right? You have your distribution partners, and you have your dealers, and then you have media, and so there's always this balance of, okay, well, how close can we, so even Apple has some troubles keeping a lid on leaks, and so yeah, so we feel pretty good about we're talking about it in August, and that means we have to ship. If people are seeing them in shops beginning, by the end of the year, that means we have to ship at least, let's say, 5 to 6 weeks earlier. So that means we're shipping in a pretty short amount of time.
Okay, and then Bike Boom. How has that impacted you as a company globally? And then because you're based in Taiwan, so has the Bike Boom? Have you sold? Or has the Taiwanese country, because it's the bicycle kingdom now, isn't it? Have you sold loads more bikes in Taiwan? And is the Taiwanese bike industry doing well from the Bike Boom domestically as well as internationally?
Well, so we are headquartered here, but we're doing business around the world. And honestly, the Taiwan market for us is very small. And in fact, GSDs technically are not legal in Taiwan.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
I think there are some, believe it or not, protectionist government policies at work. So that's something that we are communicating with the government on. Let's make it a healthy open market. And if there's a healthy open market, then you will have a lot of people thinking about this market and developing products for it, because the market is not Taiwan, actually, right? The market is Germany, Holland, United States, right? Those are the markets. So in terms of Bike Boom, we're seeing, I mean, I think as anybody in the bike industry realizes, we're seeing very strong growth in bike sales in most countries around the world. It's terrible that it's taken a pandemic, but I think it's a sea change, right? In how people view bicycles. Before it was, it's recreation, and UK is a great example where sales have just gone off the hook, right? They're crazy, and the encouraging thing, right, is that the government is stepping up and saying, hey, this is a good thing. We can't transport 8 million people per day through the tube. We can't take more cars on the roads, but bicycles sure are, a relatively cheap way to move lots of people. So it's great to see the UK government stepping up and saying, hey, we're going to allocate $2 billion over a number of years towards infrastructure. And it's amazing.
And also, I mean, the UK is going to be doing an electric bike program. We don't know the full details of that, but lots of jurisdictions around the world offer a subsidy for buying electric bikes. I mean, how important is that to your business, the subsidies?
I think we've seen, if there's a country or a city doing a subsidy, e-bike sales go up. But, honestly, that's not something, I don't think you can depend on governments to work quickly or in your favor. I would say if it happens, fantastic. We're happy to take it. But, the important thing is to create useful products, right? So if we can create a product which is, useful enough, affordable for people, and they say, hey, maybe I don't need that second car. Maybe a cargo bike or an electric bike could replace that second car. That's what we're thinking about.